Yeah, because I think it's easy to like read this. I mean, like it is but I now understand what people on Twitter mean when they say straight Yuri or straight yaoi. I understand it because I've seen straight Yuri, and it's called Recovery of an MMO Junkie.
Yes!
Hi, and welcome to Chatty AF, the Anime Feminist podcast. I am Caitlin, one of the editors at Anime Feminist, and today we are talking about Recovery of MMO Junkie, the 2017 10-episode series about a woman who gets really into playing MMORPGs after quitting her job. Today we have with us the returning hero, Sai.
Hi.
And a longtime friend of the site, but first-time podcast guest, I believe, Sam Ferreira of Anime Herald.
Hello!
Do you guys have anything you want to promote? Your Blue Skies, for example?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Blue Sky at pixelatedlenses. Is it bluesky.social? I just Google pixelated lenses and then you'll find it, and you'll see me talking a lot about how Abbott Elementary is giving me a lot of feelings, and also Soup.
I have to catch up with that show.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, but there's a character with my dead name, so it's really awkward.
Oh, no.
Alright, yeah, I'm also on Blue Sky, sam-animeherald.bsky.social, and usually I'll be either griping about local politics or talking about anime history. Way too much anime history lately.
And I am also no underscores this time on Blue Sky. I am finally making the jump because Twitter's a ghost town now.
Mm-hmm.
No one's using Twitter now, except for a couple of people.
And the alt-right. The alt-right has taken over Twitter.
Well, a couple of people I still care about.
Yes, yeah.
And I am usually talking about, I don't know, whatever the fuck pops into my head. So yes, we are talking about Recovery of an MMO Junkie, which is about Moriko, a 30-something-year-old woman who quits her office job due to burnout and devotes her time to playing the MMO Fruit of Mare as Hayashi, a male character. Because, she says, if she's going to be staring at a character's ass the whole time, it might as well be a cute boy. While she's playing as Hayashi, she makes a lot of new friends, especially Lily, a lovely young female, seemingly healer. But it turns out that Lily is Sakura Yuta, a 27-year-old man who lives in her neighborhood. As she plays the game, she makes connections with other people and gradually starts to recover from burnout. So this is based on a web manga by Kokyo Rin, which actually ran and then went on hiatus before the show even started back in 2015. And then it was canceled in 2018 due to her failing health, which makes me kind of think that maybe a lot of it was based on her personal experience. It was never completed, but she did post art of Yuta and Moriko having a happy ending, getting married, having kids, etc., etc. It's very cute.
It's incredibly cute.
It's very cute.
It really is.
We are talking about MMO Junkie because it is a really unusual kind of show. There's not really anything else out there. For one thing, it's about a woman in her 30s, which you don't really see a lot of anime about. What else is there? There's Moribito?
I mean, like, Akiba Maid War as a 30-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, she's 37 years old, just like me.
And she's playing the
real.
The game of life and guns. There's so many guns in that show. A lot of guns.
There are. But yeah, the list of shows about that age are extremely short. And then you think about shows about women that age that are relatable, and the list gets even shorter, because I don't know about y'all, I've never been a gun-toting maid in Akihabara participating in gang wars. Although, Sam, you do live in Rhode Island, so maybe it's a little closer to home for you.
Yeah, I live in a state that still has the quote unquote local aristocracy, if you catch my drift. Still not super relatable because I'm not, wearing a maid outfit and beckoning people into the barnyard themed cafe of my choice.
I'm a Texan, so I feel like an ancestor has got to have fulfilled that role, like just by proxy of being a Texan. We're all born with a gun in our hand.
I'm Californian, so...
Oh my God, you're not from Washington, actually? Okay, I'm sorry. This is a whole different conversation.
I feel like every time we do a podcast together, you're shocked by some basic fact about me. No, I grew up in Los Angeles.
I'm so sorry that my ADHD does not allow me to remember a goddamn thing.
No, I'm from Los Angeles, and show business is basically like the mob.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think the fact is that we all find Recovery of an MMO Junkie to be a intensely relatable story for reasons that we will get into later. But for a while in the community, there was this really big question of, can we really talk about Recovery of an MMO Junkie? Because, guys, we have to talk about Yaginuma Kazuyoshi.
Fucking Yaginuma Kazuyoshi. Sorry about the curse. It's just...
No, you can curse here. That dude fucking sucks. He is the director of the show. Mm-hmm. And it is a very well-directed show. I will give him that. And after sometime around when the show ended, it came out that he was liking tweets and making tweets with conspiracy theory level anti-Semitism, xenophobia, Japanese nationalism, like every like horrible like Nazi adjacent opinion that you can think of, he was tweeting about and liking. And fandom had to really wrestle with how to respond. I wrote a whole article about it that you can read, The Problem with Problematic Creators. I link it a lot. Were you guys around for kind of that discovery? How did it go for you?
I feel like I probably saw it, but honestly, I was not really as active on Twitter as I thought I would be while living in Japan, and I didn't watch as much anime as I thought I would while living in Japan because, like, full-time jobs are full-time.
It's so much harder to watch. It's so much harder to watch anime in Japan than it is in the US.
Tell me about it. As someone who had to VPN in Yuri on Ice and almost missed their bus, and like when they got to school that morning, had to explain to their principal like the biggest lie instead of saying, "I wanted to see Yuri and Victor kiss."
I lived in Japan when the streaming revolution happened, so it was coming back to the US where it was a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, but like I do feel like I vaguely saw this though.
Sam, you were a fan of the show at the time, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it was something that really did rock through the community because a lot of us, especially on Twitter, were just like, okay, so how do we approach this? How do we even touch this? Is this going to be another situation like
Are we talking about Rurouni Kenshin?
Yeah.
I believe it was after, because I did mention Rurouni Kenshin in my article.
All right, yeah, because I remember it's like, is this going to be another one where, like Rurouni Kenshin, we're going to have just burn this in the creator because it is going to be toxic forever because that person's going to be making money up until the day he dies.
Right.
It was kind of relief when we learned that he was not going to get a royalty, and more than that, his own ham-fisted, boorish way of approaching anything that came regarding this basically made him toxic to the entire anime industry. So not only was he completely going to be not making money off this, he was completely out of the industry because he was just completely gone. So it was a really intense couple of months, especially once after Lindsay's article came out. At first,
there definitely was a period where a lot of people were like, I don't know what to do. Rebecca Silverman, who is an incredibly lovely person, she picked MMO Junkie as one of her top anime of the year, and she was horrified. she had faced a lifetime of bullying because of her religion. And over time, it became clear that he was not going to work very much anymore. He's had 2 credits in the last 7 years. And also, it's not his story. It's Kokyo Rin's, It's this woman's story that is intensely relatable to other women. And so I think gradually, and this is something that I thought about when I saw the Blu-ray on sale, something I thought about when I watched it again, something I thought about when I said, hey, we should do a podcast about recovery of an MMO junkie. Is this something that we can ethically engage with anymore? And I think the fact that he fucked around and he found out is a big factor in, clearly not just me, because you two are here as well, the community being ready to say, okay, this is not something that we have to just discard because there really isn't anything else like it out there. But also, it's totally valid not to want to engage with it anymore and to feel like it is tainted by his association. So, part of the reason, and I've said this several times already, it is a narrative that we have clung to despite the issues, despite the garbage person who worked on it, is because it is such an incredibly, it is a show that people have connected to because it is about a topic that is very familiar to a lot of people. It is about burnout. It is about making connections online. I was the same age as Moriko when it aired. I haven't experienced burnout on the same level that she has. But I have to a degree. Actually, we were originally going to record this podcast about 2 months ago. And then I lost my job, and it had been a really, really difficult year. And I had spent, months working with these children who had a lot of challenges in a location that was difficult to work in. We didn't have a playground, so we had to take 2-year-olds for walks on busy streets. Extremely dysregulated 2-year-olds. And so, the fact that they let me go, left me feeling just so lost and burned out and not sure of what the next step was going to be. So I had recently watched this show, and so I was able to take those feelings in it and find comfort in, okay, this is not an actual roadmap, but this is what it can look like, and how Moriko has these really positive, affirming relationships that she makes with people online. It treats, I have met my husband, the infamous Jared, who I mention very often on this podcast because I love him very much. Online, I wouldn't be talking to you two here if it weren't for online friendships. It wouldn't be, I wouldn't be writing for Anime Feminist if it weren't for online relationships. A lot of my most important relationships, both that I have here in Seattle with me, are people who I met through the internet. It's just it's such, even though I didn't meet them through MMORPGs in this show, I've never played an MMO, so that part was I got it a little bit through osmosis, but it wasn't exactly my experience. These are real and true and strong relationships. Also, as an aside, the characters Himeralda and Pokuto are so adorable. They are a married couple, and what's implied is that Pokuto has to commute a really long way for his work. So instead of like coming home super late and Himeralda is already asleep, he goes to an internet cafe after work and they play together for a while so that they can spend some time together. And then he heads home, and and he goes home and she's asleep and he goes to sleep and he wakes up and they do it all again. But it is a space where these spouses are able to connect in this really harsh work culture. And I think that's really cute. But I know this is a show that has spoken really strongly to both experiences for both of you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who wants?
This started right after I started my transition, so I immediately picked up on Yuta's egg vibes, to put it lightly. I think I even posted on Blue Sky this morning. After a rewatch of this, I can say with 99% certainty that in at least the reality of the anime, Yuta is going to transition within 1 year. But this was a show that really spoke to me back in the day because I am no stranger to, unfortunately, that toxic work culture that Moriko has been a part of. I had just recovered from a minor nervous breakdown when caused by burnout in my previous job. That saw me basically just kind of falling into video games. So this really hit different. It hit differently again about a year later when I had the big one. Full, complete nervous breakdown where I was just unable to literally function for 3 to 4 days. And then I just kind of disappeared into Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood for close to a month before I could do anything else. So this is one of those shows that it just hit different. That scene in that first episode where it showed Moriko just being surrounded by those faceless people in her nightmares. They were all dragged off the cliff to oil the capitalist machine. That was what I saw in reality for a good 6 months of my life at that point. So I really appreciated them kind of going there and saying, yeah, the toxic work culture will absolutely ruin you. But at the same time, I also appreciate how it approached online communities because, like you mentioned with Pokta and Himeralda, but also with just the guild leader and just the various guild members, the company members that kind of popped in throughout. Each, while not quite as engaged, still finding some way to have a positive impact on both Moriko and Sakurai's lives in their own clumsy ways. Really kind of spoke to how I saw online communities, especially going back to say not just gaming communities, but online forums, IRC chats, things like that back in the day. Because I'll be honest, I'm a 40-year-old woman in Rhode Island. 99% of my friendships are online now. So it hits different.
Yeah. So, Sai,
yeah,
with everything going on in your life, I actually actively said, I think this show will be really healing for you to watch right now.
You sure did. You sure did, and you were right. It was super healing, and it made me cry a lot.
Do you want to talk about it?
You know what? I think it would actually be helpful to talk about it. I also just want to interject with I'm sorry, y'all, if my audio is weird. I don't understand how to work this Yeti Blue microphone quite yet, but I'll learn. So when this show came out, I would have been in my second year of teaching in Japan. And I was 25 at the time. And I thought I was cis. I was I am AFAB. I have breast, so I'm a woman. And I think Yuta's egg vibes would have taken me out like a Victorian child. They would have been the crispiest mental sprite on my little no, I'm cis brain. And Now I am 32 and I am watching this the week that I am ending my medical leave, but also the week that I am likely not returning to my job, for a lot of reasons. Which is hard because like my job is something that I care about. I try not to emphasize my value in regard to work because the reason why I had to take medical leave was that I had the big one and it was very bad. And like I'm not going to go into detail there because it's a very, I don't know, it's a very intimate thing that happened, but I was really unsafe for a long time. And I scared a lot of people because I was not safe in my own head. And like now I have the stability, but I'm coming back to a place where like that stability is not in my work situation. And I, you know, I'm in a situation where I'm actively being harmed by work, by what I do. And kind of like Moriko, I have spent a lot of time playing video games. I've played a lot of Dokapon Kingdom Connect on Switch because if you ever want to be mad, just play Dokapon Kingdom. Like you will find that anger healthily releasing. And I've been like, you know, I've also been part of my medical leave has been like really intensive therapy and kind of reintegrating into the community so that like I can start going back out on my own so that I can do things independently. And so, you know, this show kind of, so I don't know a lot about WWE, but I do know there was that time where I think is a the Lich Man, what's his name? The Lich Man, the Undertaker. I think like watched as one of the guys fell through the cage onto the ground and like it was horrific and like unplanned, like and I feel bodied like that, like if I were in WWE and like a tall middle-aged white man in a trench coat like just bodied me to the ground of the fighting ring. I don't know a lot about wrestling because like this show is so much about kind of the second adolescence we have as adults where like you hit your 30s and it feels like suddenly you don't have control of anything. But you're supposed to, like, we're all told we're supposed to have control and we're all told this narrative that like you're supposed to know what to do and you know like you should have, you know, the ability to handle everything and like all this, and you actually find out that like what you're doing is entering the first stages of being an adult. And I'm really in that stage where like this show kind of, it brought me a lot of comfort because like I have to make a really hard decision, and that's I'm going to quit my job. And it's scary because I've never quit a job without a plan, but like I'm also at a point where the burnout was really bad. And like, without saying the words, there was a situation where there was a high possibility I would not be here to even talk about this series. And so, you know, I am here. So like, it's kind of like, what do you do with the pieces when they've all fallen apart? And like, unfortunately, I don't know that my favorite MMO, which did make a cameo in the show, it's Mabinogi. I don't know if it exists anymore. So like, I don't have an MMO, but I do have Dokapon Kingdom, and I do have Shin Megami Tensei 5, and like I have a community around me that like I am trying to reintegrate into, and that does matter. And that's kind of a lot of what I took from this, because like, yeah, Caitlin was right. Like I did need to see this. I super needed to see this, and it gave me the most cathartic cry.
I believe in the healing power of fiction, and I think that is something that you also feel.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I am, always happy to try to help you, to redirect you towards stuff that's like, I think this might hit a little hard for you right now. But I think what you said about the second adolescence is really interesting, because that kind of brings me to, do you mind if we step forward into talking about,
let's do it,
the show? Yeah. Okay. So it kind of brings me into what I see as the show's relationship to the isekai genre. Because it's not an isekai. It's always very clear that even when we're seeing the character, like the MMO characters emoting and stuff, that like it's kind of artistic license, and that they are, you know, the little avatars on the screen. You know, and they only emote if you hit like certain buttons or whatever. I don't know how MMOs work with that. If you enter certain commands, I don't know. How does that work?
You can put like a colon and then like smile and closed colon. You can like have you can have hotkeys that like will show emotes, yeah, or actions. I used to play a lot of League, and so I'm just taking my knowledge from there. That's definitely still around.
Does that sound about right?
That's about how it works in Final Fantasy. It's like /joy for like a happy pose and things like that, or /dance to make them just dance.
Yeah.
I mean, you've played Animal Crossing, so it's like that.
Yeah,
barely.
It's like that.
No, not barely. Like, I've played like a total of like 2 hours.
Stop taking me out with facts about yourself.
Okay, it's stressful to me. We can get into this later. We can talk about this later.
I'm giving you a look.
Animal Crossing stresses me out.
I'm giving you a look.
But anyway, so it's not really isekai, but it's not isekai, but it plays one on TV. Because a lot of isekai now are very informed by games, right?
And cis-men.
The kind of thesis of most isekai is, wouldn't it be cool if that game you were really good at was what it was like in real life? Wouldn't it be nice if everything had levels and it was really straightforward, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, and they're generally, you know, escapism fantasies. And Moriko withdraws from the world and she throws herself into the fantasy. She doesn't get hit by Truck-kun and like actually literally get transported into another world. But that's kind of the feeling, is like, I can't deal with real life right now. So I am just going to be in this fantasy world where I have my friends and things are simple, and that's what I need.
I do
right?
I do think there is an argument to be made that she does get transported into another world, though, because like society still structures mental breaks and like burnout as like a markedly different existence. So like she kind of gets shut off from society. Yeah, because I'll say, like, when I lived in Japan and I had a little minty bee, as the kids called it, I got treated very differently until that period was over. And it was kind of like a little bit like being removed from society. Enough that I had to leave and go to a different prefecture for therapy. And like, so I would take the train to my therapist and literally exit the place I lived. So like, yeah.
Mm. So you were transported to not another world, but another prefecture.
Yeah, my title would be Seeing My Therapist in Sendai.
But yeah, so I mean, that is a really good point. So it can be read kind of as an isekai. And unlike most modern isekai, she's not reincarnated in another world. She is still here at her computer, and she has the choice to, when she is ready, walk out the door and start talking to people. And it feels almost like kind of a grown-up twist on the coming-of-age isekai that we all grew up with, you know, the Fushigi Yugis and the 12 Kingdoms. Well, no, not 12 Kingdoms. That's not there and back. Escaflowne. Where she is, when she feels ready, she's not coming of age, but she is entering a new phase of her life after she spends this time outside of society, and when she feels ready wouldn't it be fucking nice if that were possible for everyone?
It really would, because the thing that I kept thinking about throughout this watch was, I was like, wow, it really would be nice if like you could just take your time. And I mean, like, there is a history in America of like, there was a period of time where a mental breakdown was like considered a serious like medical condition, and you would step back from society for about a year, and like people were expected, like the expectation socially was that people would treat you differently, like they would accommodate you, and I guess that's just flown out the window, because when I had my breakdown this time, I'm still expected to go to Kroger, and I just think that's rough. Just think that's real rough.
Yeah.
Like, everyone deserves the ability to like have this kind of liminal space where like things aren't okay, and like be able to go to Cowson and get yourself like some good cone beanie food. Everyone deserves that.
One of the things I did really pick up on this watch through was in those first couple of episodes, the only time you really did see her outside of the RPG at first were when she was reacting to something on screen, which was just a cutaway, or when she had to go to Lawson or Calcininus to get food. I mean, it's actually really telling that this does fit into that idea of it being an isekai, because to an extent, because as Sai said, that once you have a mental break, you are literally treated like you're in a different world in some ways. Even if you're expected to function in the same way, the same role, people do look at you differently, because I think the best way to put it is you cease being a part of the world that you're living in and become a part of an existence where I don't want to say you're treated as a burden by people, but you are looked at very differently, much less charitably, I'd say.
Yeah. It's like you lose maturity.
Exactly. That's the best way to put it.
It's like you sit around in your sweats all day.
Yeah. Because like I said, because like I'm experiencing that currently, right, with like my medical leave, because I'm in an outpatient program, and like I've had people remark like, oh, it must be nice, and I'm like, I am in therapy 12 hours a week. Like,
yeah,
it's
I mean,
a job.
I guess, yeah, I can count myself as very fortunate, because I mean, so when I lost my job a couple months ago, it was probably the worst I'd ever felt in my entire life. Unfortunately, Jared was out of town. He had literally flown out the day I was fired.
Jared, no.
It was really bad. Yeah. And a lot of the narrative, like once Moriko starts reintegrating into the real world, is driven by coincidence. Because it turns out that all these people in her guild just live close by. How convenient. And I was going to trash on that for being kind of unrealistic. But then I remembered, first of all, you know, while Jared was out, you know, 3 days I had, you know, three different friends come over and help me just function. You know, I had friends come over and take me to the store, even though the store was 2 blocks away, and buy a bunch of survival food, because I wasn't getting, like, I could barely open a jar of peanut butter. I had a friend come over and help me clean up, and those were friends who I had met online. And yeah, no, and so, like, you know, usually the people you meet online are not going to be the people who live super close by. You know, it is not going to be that convenient. However, I did, you know, one friend who came over one day, I met them because I met their partner through AniFem, and it turned out that they literally took the same bus route to work that I did. You know, there was another friend who, unrelated, but I did a few weeks ago learned that an anti-fem community member lives in a building that shares a parking lot with mine.
Wow, the world is wonderfully small.
You know, so maybe it's not that crazy unrealistic that there's that much coincidence in it.
Yeah, because I just figured they were on like regional servers. Like
that regional though?
I mean,
they live so close to each other.
I mean, okay, it's a little too coincidental. Like, okay, that's a stretch. I tried.
Kambe works at the convenience store that she goes to.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yuta worked at the same company and also lives in her neighborhood.
Okay, yeah.
I think there's also the implication that Lilac lives pretty close by too. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like I could see one. I could see one, but the entire guild is a little bit much.
It's just, I think that's the most fantasy part.
Yeah.
Of the show.
Yeah, because I guess in reality, like, Moriko's friends would just be scattered across Japan. Like, and like one of them would be abroad. Yeah.
Yeah. Or, you know, one of them lives on the other side of the country and one of them lives 2 hours away, but neither of you have a car. So you can't go hang out with each other anyway.
Oh no, you don't have a car either? Shoot.
No.
Oh my god. I gotta be brave and use the train and come down to you then. I just gotta be brave. I'll get to see the sea.
But now for something completely different. I've talked a lot so far. I am going to take a step back and let you guys talk about the gender of it all. Because this show's got a lot of gender.
It does in a way that I didn't expect it. Because so even as someone who's trans-masculine, I'll fully admit I still play as like the female characters because they have better clothes. They're just the only game exception is Animal Crossing New Horizons, which like now you can wear all the clothes inclusive of like your body shape, or which is how they like define gender. But like, you know, when I play Pokemon games, I still play as like the female model because they're cute. And so I kind of really can relate to both of them as someone who currently plays as like characters that are I don't have a gender, so like not opposite my gender, but opposed or outside of my gender. And so I really I'm glad to know that Yuta as an egg is a really common reading, because I believe I was sitting on my couch the other day when I was watching with a saucepan of queso that I'd made. And I was like, I said out loud, I was like, gay? And then I amended it and I was like, trans. Because I was like, what's the word I actually meant? Because like, I love that Yuta has just a whole collection of clothes for Lily, and like Computer is kind of Lilyfied and like feels comfortable in that gender representation.
He does love pink.
He does. It's good.
It really is.
I was just gonna say more people should like pink. It's a
sorry.
It's a genderless color. Literally. The whole pink and blue thing only came about in the 20th century, y'all.
I just don't like pink very much.
That's fair.
It depends on the shade.
I was gonna say I'm gonna depends on the shade. I like red pinks more than I like purple pinks.
I factually have more trans friends than cis friends. But I am still a cis person, and I was watching, I was like, wow, Yuta's throwing out some vibes here. I saw that pink keyboard and I was just like, I have friends whose keyboards look like that. There's a commonality between all of them.
Yeah, like Yuta is one Amazon order short of having like the trans girl pink Razer keyboard. Like,
yes,
I love that for Yuta. It was also nice to find out that Yuta's English voice actor, because who was Yuta's English voice actor? Because I did watch this in English.
Jesse James Grayler.
Oh yeah, trans. Yeah, very trans. And I like that the show doesn't really push or deny that reading. I mean, it's the fact that like there's art that shows that Yuta and Moriko get married and have kids, and that Yuta is still presenting as male. It hurts my little heart, but that's what AO3 is for.
I mean, I'll be very blunt. The first time I saw this, I think my initial reaction was, Yuta is literally just one cat ear, set of cat ear headphones away from the trans girl starter pack. Yes, I do have a pair. No, you can't see it. Anyway. And honestly, in this current reading, this complete rewatch, every time I saw the two come together, it's like, alright, yeah, I can definitely see this. I see a lot of my pre-transition self in Yuta, and that's both impressive and terrifying at how accurate it is.
Yeah, because I think it's easy to like read this. I mean, like it is het, but I now understand what people on Twitter mean when they say straight Yuri or straight yaoi. I understand it because I've seen straight Yuri, and it's called Recovery of an MMO Junkie.
Yes!
I get it now. I get it. Like, I'm hip. Because, like, I mean, there's a future in my head where, like, they have, like, a shared office, and Yuta has some cat ear headphones, and, like, they're just living a queer life. I mean, like, I guess you can still present as a variety of genders and like be queer. But like I have to wonder if this show had gotten made like with the context of all of those things, and like had, if the series had gotten written in a different context, what could be.
Absolutely. In relation to that, I actually liked how they put in Koiwai playing as a female character to kind of show the difference between the two as they approach playing a character of a different gender. Koiwai just went straight up dude bro. And like straight up dude bro.
Oh, Koiwai's character is so much.
He is so much.
Koiwai's character in 2024 is rough.
Yeah, we'll talk about Koiwai in a bit.
He is, but I mean, I appreciate that they actually put that in, because I have been playing MMOs for, since that time I broke down and lost myself in Stormblood, so about 6.5 years now. Anyway, it was something that kind of struck me as remarkably accurate, because you can tell the dudes that pick female avatar just because they like the way it looks more than something that they want to actually embody and play as a representation,
right.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Moriko chose Hayashi for reasons. It doesn't feel like gender reasons for her.
Exactly. I appreciated them having Koiwai as that contrast.
Yeah, I do love that he was like, I'm gonna be a hot buff woman. Like, good on you, dude.
With
Feminism.
With enormous jugs.
Oh my god. Yeah, because this show also, Koiwai's character also helped me understand the term mommy milkers finally, because I was like, whoa. Like, it's like he has, but like, it is nice to see that representation, because like, he didn't just choose like a generic kind of socially acceptable pretty, he chose what he likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the same goes with, I mean, you could say the same goes with Yuta and Lily, but like, Cypress wants to read it as Yuta chose the ideal girl mode to be and the ideal trans body to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really interesting how, there's a version of this show where it does read very het, where, Moriko's like, I have a crush on this female character. Oh God, thank God it's a guy, and we get the reverse with Yuta, but it doesn't feel that way. Mm-hmm. It feels like Hayashi and Lily are both honest expressions of aspects of Moriko and and Yuta, but also they're not the same as who they are. Well, Yuta, the line's a little blurrier, but you know, there's no like moment where Moriko's. Well, actually, I haven't watched the show for a couple of minutes. Moriko doesn't spend a lot of time going like, but she's a girl.
Yeah, she has a moment in episode 3, but like it pretty quickly becomes apparent that like it's more like her shock at having feelings with a girl more than like, you know, the weird thing that like actual Yuri does where it's like, oh, I can't like a girl. Yes, you can. Did you not see the genre label on the spine? Did you not flip open a copy?
So I think that like, even if we're going to go with like the manga canon where like Yuta does not transition, there's still kind of a queer element to it because they had crushes on each other when they thought they were, you know, the different genders than they actually were. So you can't see I'm gesticulating, I'm shrugging.
Yeah, and maybe they're just waiting for like
making a face.
They're just waiting for like Japan to catch up on like the same sex thing. You know, like they've had the discussion and like at home Yuta's got a gender affirming name. It could be the same name, different kanji. Like they're both just waiting. They're waiting. But at home, Yuta's their true self.
That is my headcanon now.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about kind of the meta of the show. Before we go, because we are running a little bit out of time, we're running low on time, I want to talk about something a little more concrete, which is Koiwai. And he kind of sucks.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Doesn't he?
He does suck.
He sucks so
He
much.
kind of sucks.
I knew this guy in Japan.
And like I can see him as like the friend who sucks, but he doesn't suck enough that you stop hanging out with him. You know, he always like walks right up to that line and he never like quite crosses it. He's super aggro at like, I mean, not like aggro, but like aggressively hitting on Moriko at the convenience store. And she's like, wait, what? And he's like, okay, all right. Yeah. We're going to go on a date, right? Yeah. We're going to go. And she's like, what? Okay.
I
Like
felt so bad for her because she's just probably trying to get like her little, like if she's like me, she's trying to get that Lawson beef bowl or like some carbonara, and she's just minding her own business, existing, and this guy, this absolute chud, comes up and just invades her personal space.
right.
He is so terrible.
And like
man.
this guy definitely exists in real life. There's a lot of him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I back in my previous life, I think I can name at least one shitty friend like that. Whom, you know, I haven't, you know, they're not my friend anymore, but anyway, but the dude took pictures of her while she was asleep.
Oh
What
my
the
God.
hell?
Yeah, it's
What the hell?
Yeah, it's it's weird. I also don't like his weird jokes about calling Yuta princess.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Let Yuta crack that egg on their own. Who do you think you are? The Gordon Ramsay of gender? Like, let Yuta figure it out. Also, it's weird. It's weird when men who perceive other people as male crack jokes about like being feminine. It's just gross. Ugh. Weird.
It screams a lot of insecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I can recognize his role in the narrative because he's kind of presented as that final push to get Moriko out in the world. And they did have a connection before, you know, they had talked on the phone at work and at a time when she was feeling really lonely, and it was a comfort to her. So I feel like if that convenience store scene had been just a little bit different,
More normal.
and
Yeah.
if it hadn't felt so much like he was pushing himself on her, and it had been a little bit more like, wait, what? Oh, oh, you're that guy. Oh, okay. I don't really remember how to talk to people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little bit like, oh, I'm remembering like who you were to me and this moment that you were there for me when I just really, really needed someone.
And instead he was just
Instead of
the weirdest dude possible. Like the weirdest handsome guy that clearly has read a lot of pickup books. Like possible.
Because like she is clearly looking forward to their date. You know? She goes out and she gets a haircut. She cuts off like a foot of hair.
And then she spends like 9,500 yen on an outfit. I don't know why I remember that number, but it stuck out.
It's a lot of yen.
It's a lot of yen.
You know, she plucks her eyebrows. You know, she has spent all of these months, and we can talk about like compulsive, like femininity and like expectations, because she has this whole thing of like, I have to make myself presentable, because she's got, you know, her hair's going kind of crazy, like her makeup has expired, her eyebrows have overgrown, and so her spending money on quote unquote fixing all of that is a symbol that she is ready to go outside, but she could also just as easily go on a date, you know, brushed her hair, maybe gotten a trim to cut off the split ends, and gone with her bushy eyebrows and no makeup, and that would have been just as valid if that was what she felt, how she felt comfortable. You know, I don't wear makeup on a daily basis. I mean, I do get my eyebrows done, but I'm also super lazy about it. You know, like there's some gender stuff going on there.
Though I will say this is maybe the first show I've seen. Okay. Unfortunately, the other show that kind of represents this is also has a problematic creator. But this is kind of the first show I've seen where I actually really liked that part of her reintegration was her deciding on like, I am going to go get some clothes. I'm going to do these things. Because while it was like, while there is a heavy pressure in literally almost every country for like women to look like quote unquote women and for all women to fit within this ideal, I did actually like that like she chose the medium length hair. And like I love her explanation for it. And like I like that she seems to embrace like the choices. It's still fraught, but there was something nice about that, and you don't often see like older women or girls at all. I'll just say the anime I'm referencing is Galco, which yeah, like that's the other one.
That's one that we had to throw right out.
That's the other one.
That one was unsalvageable.
Yeah, that's the other one where like girls felt good, and then you know it's in the trash. So, but like this is a nice example of like it felt a little bit more not necessarily neutral, because I think anytime women feel like they gotta gussy themselves up is always fraught, because like who are you doing it for? But it felt more like part of a bigger whole.
And it was kind of you know, very accurate of how it is expensive being a woman.
Oh my god, so expensive.
It is. Our haircuts are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Makeup is expensive. Clothes are expensive. And there are much higher expectations for how we present ourselves in the world.
All I can say is I'm glad I work in a co-working space, because I can just stroll right in wearing my baggy ass sweatshirt and jeans and no one blinks.
Oh yeah, working preschool, like there are no expectations for my appearance. I don't wear makeup to work. I am less likely to be wearing makeup on a work day than I am on a day off. Because who's gonna care? The 2-year-olds?
Yeah.
But yeah, it this is another thing where it felt very drawn from life. That this is very much Kokio's story, because a male director is not gonna get all of those things, probably. Even male directors who are really good at female characters.
Yeah.
That was experience. Talking about makeup expiring, that's experience.
Absolutely.
From
yeah.
living as a woman.
Yeah, because that the makeup expiring really stuck out to me, because like, yeah, if you have not really had need for it, because that's that was actually what cracked like gender for me, was I couldn't keep makeup from expiring because like I just had zero desire to use it, but like I would, because the expectation is, you want that natural look. If you are someone who is socially perceived as a woman, then like you're supposed to meet these expectations, but like what happens when you can't? And like, all of a sudden she's like out of makeup and has to go out and like get some. And probably has to like remember what shade am I, and like it says this, but like
has it changed from not going outside
right.
for however long?
Like do I like berry red or do I like pink now? Like there's all these things you have to balance, and even if you like makeup, there's all those things you have to balance. It's a very lived experience in a really what's the word? Intentional way.
Okay. So I think it is time for us to start wrapping up. Is there anything that you want to bring up that's kind of fallen through the cracks? Yeah. I've got something, which is that, like, just another little thing where it's like, this show feels so, like, charming in its treatment of gender, is one scene that I don't know, has always like been funny to me, is when they're all trying to get that particular outfit and Kanbei gets it, and like there's a shot of him wearing it from behind and the other characters are all like, oh my god, and it doesn't feel like it's like making fun of it, like ew, guy and girl's clothing. It's like he's wearing this thing that he would never wear, and it's a little, and they're all just goofing around having a good time.
Yeah, like the dissonance is it just doesn't match him personality wise. It's not like it doesn't match because of gender. It's just like, oh, like it's out of place for your personality, and that's nice. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and he put it on as good. They're goofing around. They're having a good time.
Yeah,
it's cute.
Yeah, it was very warm, very happy. No malice in it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say that my thing that I think we didn't mention is I just really like the display that adult romance can be full of anxious, exciting feelings, and also that like 30-something-year-old women are hot to younger guys. Like
that's true. Yuta is a little bit younger than her.
Yeah, like I like that because I mean. And I feel like it's the same having lived in both countries. Like 25 really is the peak, quote unquote, for women who are under a certain like age range. And I think that's really sad because like your 30s are really when life begins. Like I was never more happy than when I turned 30 because I was like, I don't have these constraints anymore. No one's expecting me to be a 25 under 25. I'm not going to hit the Forbes 30 under 30. Like, I just get to be. And I feel like, especially for cis women, that's a really valuable experience. And I mean, for me as someone who still like has the body I was born into that, people can perceive as somehow as a woman. Like it's invaluable knowing like, yeah, your 30s, you're still killing it.
I'll be honest, I'm just thrilled that we have a show period about people that are outside of high school. I mean, we need more shows about middle-aged people. I mean, we exist. Our stories are genuinely interesting. So I'd love to see more stuff that, even if it's not romance, but I mean, just something that tackles that life after 30, because like I said, life's just beginning. There's a lot ahead of you, but at the same time, it's a whole new world of anxieties, pressures, worries that don't ever really get explored in the media, very often in the medium today, because, I mean, when you have a show like, say, about teenagers, college kids, it's a completely different world. Like, I'll be the first to admit that I can't relate to a college kid anymore. I'm 40 years old. That life was, God, like 15 years ago for me now. So yeah, I mean, we exist. And it doesn't all have to be stuff like, say, Zipong, where it's the driest military drama you've ever seen.
Or Legend of Galactic Heroes. Oh, I said it.
I like Legend of Galactic Heroes, but I'm weird.
I know. I'm just being.
The people hate Caitlin because she speaks the truth.
See, that can be your thumbnail.
Me. Legend of Galactic Heroes is really dry and kind of boring.
It is.
Other person, shut up.
It's absolutely the truth. It's very dry. I'm disabled. I can't even fly a spaceship like that.
I think it's safe to say that we would all recommend this show to listeners. You know, the one caveat is if you can't stomach the director, then that's fine. But otherwise, our average listenership is definitely older than your average anime fan. I think that people will find a lot to connect to. And yeah, it's just such a lovely, lovely show.
It really is.
It is.
So that will wrap up our discussion of Recovery of an MMO Junkie. Thank you for joining us, Annie Fam. If you liked what you heard, you can find more from the team by going to animefeminist.com. And if you really, really liked what you heard and would like to support us, you can go to patreon.com/animefeminist or ko-fi.com/animefeminist. Patreon is kind of our monthly fees, paying editors, paying for our web hosting. Ko-fi, we raise money to be able to pay a little bit more. So feel free to give us a one-off donation or subscribe to us monthly. All of our socials are on our Linktree, linktr.ee/animefeminist. We've got an Instagram, we've got a TikTok, we've got Blue Sky, we've got Tumblr. We even have a YouTube channel, which I always forget exists. Thanks for listening, Annie Fam, and
if you love in the game, you love in real life.